I anticipate a certain amount of squawking from the peanut gallery, and if it bothers me at all, it's like for a fraction of a second because I do the work. I put in the time, I do the work, so what do I got to worry about? I think, when somebody gets angry, it's very much like sex. It's a shortcut, it's a short circuit to avoid doing the work. And sometimes the work is nothing more than making self-inquiry. If we're in a habit of depending on other people to give us all the answers, well, we're lazy bums, or bumettes, as the case may be. All it takes is, you don't even have to close your eyes to do this. It's a really simple exercise. You simply ask yourself, what am I overlooking? What have I failed to do? What have I not done that I could be doing in order to either alleviate or eliminate the problem, to contribute to its solution? May not solve it, may not solve the world or save the world, may only be able to save myself and maybe, if I'm lucky, one other person. Charlie Lutz used to say, if you can save yourself, start there. And if you can save at least one other person, you're fine. You're good. Some people are lucky they can save 20 people, And some people, like Maharishi, can save millions. But start with yourself. If you can't save yourself, what's the point of trying to save somebody else? If you're drowning, what's the point of trying to save somebody else from drowning if you're drowning? Save yourself, but if you can, save at least one other person. Because although TM has nothing to do with saving anybody, it does have to do with taking care of yourself. As Maharishi Mahesh Yogi has said on more than one occasion, the practice of yoga is a totally selfish act. And so anybody who complains that, oh, Maharishi brisked his way into the ashram and shoved aside the other ashramites to get all the special attention from Gurudev, fine. But that's not the way he would tell the story, but it's kind of the same. It's kind of the gist of it. He would say, well, I relieved this elderly gentleman who was in charge of sweeping Gurudev's and cleaning up Gurudev's room because he looked awful tired. He said, go take rest. One of Maharishi's favorite expressions to his meditators, go take rest. In other words, go meditate. But he said it to the old man, and the old man obliged him very readily. He said, oh, this young squirt wants to take over my job? Great. I could use the rest. He's probably going to himself. So, yeah, you could say, but Maharishi was a little on the aggressive side, and he got all the benefits for being aggressive. He wasn't nasty about it. He would not have stayed 1 microsecond in that ashram. Trust me, if he was nasty about it. No, he was totally pleasant and humane, and he was relieving an elderly gentleman from fatigue and took over the job because he was a young squirt. He was in his early 20s or something, So there's nothing wrong with work. If you're willing to put in the time, if you're willing to put in the effort, if you're willing to put your attention sustained for any length of time on one subject. Some people would call that concentration. I just call it focus. I don't call it concentration. Concentrating on the tip of your nose. I don't think so. It's just focus. It's dedication. It's devotion. Religious devotion. Say the rosary blessings 1,000 times over and over again. Yeah, that's work, because you're devoting yourself to a task and you stick with it. And maybe you get results, instead of just doing it once flippantly and saying, well, okay, I'm good to go. Or if I didn't get results after the first time, then chuck it. Sometimes, effortless activity is all good. There's nothing wrong with effortlessness in activity. But sometimes certain activities, for whatever reason, God knows why, we'll know in hindsight after the fact, but ahead of time, we'll never know the reasons usually. Not all the time. Sometimes we'll know the reasons if we're lucky. It may not be because it was the wrong work, or the wrong activity, I should say, or because it was too easy. Maybe that's why we didn't get results. Maybe it's got to be more effortful. No. maybe all we have to do is simply keep doing it. You know, how long have I been working at this? Okay, a few years. So I got better at it simply because I put in the time. And I like this image because it's got the mouse there, because it's largely been in front of the computer that I've been spending all my time giving myself swollen legs in the process. I don't get swollen legs anymore. I don't know why. Must be all the supplements I take. Anyway, and I got a new chair, one of these lean chairs. You lean your knees into it, and there's no back support. So it forces you to sit up straight and strengthen your back muscles. I still get a bad back on occasion if I twist it out of alignment, pushing or carrying something heavy. And it does hurt my shins, my upper shins, because it puts pressure there. But it certainly is better posture for me than sitting in a chair. It took me a while to get used to it. I went back and forth, but a lot of times I would just kneel on the floor to give myself relief because I slouch in the chair. I'm terrible in a chair. So these kinds of chairs are cool. I can't show you a picture of it, or I just don't want to bother, because the point of this video is work. So if somebody wants to complain, this, that, and the other thing, to distract the discussion away from the topic in question, it's because they're scared of doing the work themselves. They're terrified. They want somebody else to plow the field for them. And, oh yeah, sure, if the field has already been plowed, what difference does it make if you come along and plow it? It's already been plowed. No work there. You're just going through the motion. You know, it's like when I bought this chair. Okay, back to the chair again. I bought it, I got it off of Amazon, and it came assembly required. Okay, no problem. It came with all the tools, the hex tighteners, and just so I didn't even have to have a set of hex wrenches. Yeah, it came with the correct hex wrench, 2 of them actually, because it takes 2 because the way it works, even though they're both the same size wrench. So it came with everything to put it together, but assembly was required. So I didn't mind. Great. Whoopee-doo. You know? So maybe that's what somebody wants from me, is a kit with instructions. Connect A to B and you're good to go. You know, practically almost plug and play. Sorry, I can't accommodate you there. To do that would require heavy industry, and to do that would mean that our vested interests and our banking establishment and the government and everybody involved and the Saudi Arabians selling oil, and everybody would have to agree with you. And I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime or your lifetime. This is all going to be cottage industry, or it's not going to happen. You either do it for yourself and your neighbors, or it's not going to happen. And if you expect me to do anything for you, you can forget it. Stick your finger up your rear end for all I care, because all I'm giving you is knowledge. And that's all I want to give you. I've done the work. Oh, trust me, it's been a tremendous amount of labor of love. And a labor of effort, too. And a labor of strain. Hardly effortless. But I loved it. I enjoyed doing it, even though I racked myself silly doing it. I enjoyed doing it, and I got a talent for it. And what did Charlie say? Do what you're good at doing, and do what you enjoy doing. But I don't enjoy doing things for people that they can do for themselves. Aha. So you see why I hold off building a model? I'm not going to build no models. You go build your own model. I will simulate it for you, to design it for you, but you got to build it. If you want to see it happen at all, you're going to have to be the one to build it, because I ain't going to build it. I got my hands full. I've said this in a prior video, so it's worth repeating. I got my hands full doing what I do best at doing. I don't have test equipment, so if I want to build me a circuit, it better be a bionic circuit, because the only test equipment I have is my body, and my body is very electrosensitive, so I'm very good at doing that. So I do have some expertise in building bionic circuits, biocircuits, but electrical circuits that could kill you if you touched them, you know, if you connected your body in line or in parallel, regardless. No, thank you. I'm not going to go there. I've been electrocuted before. I don't want to do so again, multiple times. Not by lightning, either. My first experience, no. No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to describe my experiences. It's not necessary to justify my point of view. You justify your point of view in being so cranky and grumpy that you've got to complain, oh, build it and then we'll believe you. Build you and then we'll trust you. Oh, theories around all over the place. It's not worth anything. Oh, really? It took me years to develop the theory that I've developed to this point in time. Years. Going through a whole bunch of other circuit designs that I had to discard because they were either not practical or buildable, or not practical or not buildable. At least what I got now has a semblance of buildability. It has a semblance of realism to it. A semblance, okay? So I'm confident that it's as close to reality as I can bring a design to its fruition. But you got to do the work too, you know. I can't do it all for you. I haven't changed. I've been this way all my life. As a child, I didn't do anything for anybody. I just, if they asked me a question, I said, oh, this is how you do it. And then they were expecting me to do it for them. And and then somebody else in the dorm at college where I was at said, well, you know, he's not the kind of person to do things for you. Oh, really? They thought they were in luck, you know. I was going to do everything for them. Oh, I was growing wheatgrass. That was it. So I was telling them how to do it, but I wasn't going to do it for them. For the ladies, it was different. Oh, would you like some wheatgrass? Oh, step right up and juice your own. Here's my juicer. 25 cents, please, per ounce. But no, if you were a guy, you did it yourself. Hey, maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. But if you're a stranger and you're a guy, don't expect me to do it for you. You know, because there's no payoff for me. Hey, let's face it. I'm a little sexist, but there's no payoff for me. If you're a pretty girl, maybe you might have a chance. Something along those lines, like somebody who looks helpless, but a guy, nah, you don't look helpless. You're just whining. Whine, 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 whine. And don't I know what whining is? I've done it myself on plenty of on occasion. So it's not like I'm trying to encourage it just because I've done it. Doesn't mean it's okay to do it or encourage it. Let's put it that way. It doesn't mean it's okay to encourage it. It's one thing to do it. It's another thing to encourage it in a fellow human being. It's kind of like saying, oh, you want to smoke cigarettes? Okay. And you have never started to smoke. Oh, okay. And you want money to smoke on top of it? Go get yourself a job. Let it be your karma. I don't want it to be my karma. It's bad enough you want to start smoking. You've never smoked before in your life. Do you want me to help you start? Go figure. Why you'd even ask. So think about it. I've said before, the circuit I create is the electrical equivalent to a bomb. Take away the chemistry, you're left with the electrodynamics of what happens in the chemistry of an explosive device. That's what you've got. And true, I've tried to create the components and the arrangement of the components such that it's a regulated explosion, it's a controlled explosion that never completely explodes, kind of like masturbating, but you don't go all the way, you know? Or, you know, you just like, almost, you know, not quite all the way, you know, so it's pleasant, but not extremely pleasant. Well, you don't want the thing to blow up in your face and destroy your shop and rip off your arm in the process, or your head, or worse, make you go blind, shoot some shrapnel up your eyeball. So, no, we don't want that to happen. There's no guarantee it won't happen, because my circuit has to be fine-tuned, because reality is not the same thing as simulation. I try to get it close, but there's no guarantee it's going to be the same. No guarantee it won't go comatose on you and need to be tweaked in order to come alive with energy, more than what you put in. But you don't want it to be too much. So there's no guarantee that weird things could happen. But you do have to do some work. And so what I suggest is what I did. What did I do? I'll tell you what I did. I went online. This is the very beginning. If I'm spelling this correctly. I went on Wikipedia and I made a an article that they took away because they didn't think it was appropriate, but it was a term that I found somewhere. Let's see if I can find it without logging in, because I dislike logging in on Wikipedia. Oh, I know how to do this. I want to show you what I managed to start, and then it was taken away as soon as I wrote an article there. Vinyasa, yeah, right, that's just what I want. Oh, here we go. No, I don't want that. I don't want Wikimedia Commons. Oh, shielded inductor. Yeah, that must be it. We're merged. Ah, see? I think what they had, either they had a pre-existing page and I added to it, or I started it, but in any case they took it and merged it into the article on inductor. So if we go to the article on inductor, and we if we shrink down the size of this a little, shielded, here we go. So I had done something to this paragraph. Let's see what I did. Yeah, not verifiability, not original research. Oh, well, if we go back in history, well, I bet we'll find it. That's right. View history. It's available to everyone. So, you look down the list for me. Let's see if we can find me. Oh, I'm not even there. Then I must be on the next page. Because they do have more pages. Older by 50. Whoopsies. Nope. Older by 250? I don't know. Could be. It'll be hard. Ah, there I am. So, let's see. Edited by current, previous. No, that's not right. Now, which link do I use? This is an old revision. Must have been while they let's see, where is it? I don't see it. I never take talk calls while I'm taping. Huh, where am I? Whoopsies. I don't care who they are. Oh, is that it? No. Huh. Well, this doesn't have the version number, though. I don't see where I did anything. this is how I got my start. So I thought I'd give you a little background here. I made basically little fonts for, yeah, I don't see it. Edited by Vinyasi. Okay, so this is mine. Now, what did I add? Oh, there's a Q factor in here. Really? How about that? And there's the Q factor. How about that? So what did I edit? I wonder. Couldn't have been anything complicated. Because I wouldn't have been able to handle it. Well, if we go back, it's not much of a change. 1 or 2 words. I thought, you know, there was another article. And that's my problem, is I don't see where the other article is because it does not exist. Vismir. By linking to its article. Oh, I linked to an article. Oh, is that what it was? So, where did I link it? Uh-huh. Probably was under, huh. Interesting. There's no way for me to know, is there? Well, there should be a way to find out. Inductor construction added an alternative definition to a shielded inductor by linking to its article. Inductor construction. Okay, so it's inductor construction. Shielded, here we go. Oh, well, it's been merged, see? It used to be a separate article. Well, oh, that's a noisy. Let's see, where is the other instances? patent nonsense. Ha 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 ha. Oh, well, they don't like me, obviously. Well, basically, I'll just have to describe it to you because it's not something that seems to exist anymore. They had to get rid of it. It's basically an inductor that's grounded at one end with a resistor. That's how it all got started. And that's where my endeavor got started. And then it grew from there into the realization that it has a lot to do with the Joseph Newman motor, and that's what got me more involved. But originally it started out as a shielded inductor, an inductor that's grounded to the earth on one end. And that's what's considered shielded, because you ground one end. But they don't have that exhibited here anywhere. For one reason or another. For one reason or another. Yeah. Because it had very interesting properties when I simulated it in LT Spice. Maybe it comes out of this. Oh, a decoupled. Right. A decoupled inductor. That was it. Signal filtering. That was it. Because it filters out certain frequencies. Decouples the DC current while allowing the AC current to pass. That was it. That was it. So it had to be decoupling an inductor. An inductor, right. Decoupling. Inductor decoupling, or decoupling capacitors. You know, we have decoupling capacitors. Oh, maybe that's where it started. Bypass filters. That's it. Yeah, it was called a bypass filter. Now I remember. Which there is no such term. Bypass coupler? Bypass capacitor? Oh, there is such a term. Oh, look at that. Decoupling capacitor. No, it's called a decoupling capacitor. Well, whatever. Decoupling capacitor. Voltage spikes. Often used to decouple a subcircuit from AC signals or voltage spikes or on a power supply or other line. A bypass capacitor can shunt energy from those signals or transients past the subcircuit to be decoupled right to the return path. For a power supply line, a bypass capacitor from the supply voltage line to the power supply return neutral would be used. High frequencies and transient currents can flow through a capacitor to circuit ground instead of to the harder path of the decoupled circuit, but DC cannot go through the capacitor and continues on to the decoupled circuit. Another kind of decoupling is stopping a portion of a circuit from being fit on. Okay, so that's what it was. It was a decoupling capacitor. And I think what I did was I modified it. I took out the capacitor and I put in an inductor or a resistor. That was it. Ah, transient load decoupling, see? So it all has to do with decoupling for the purposes of protecting a circuit from transients. And so I knew I was onto something. Yeah, see? Transient load decoupling, as described above, is needed when there is a large load that gets switched quickly. The parasitic inductance in every decoupling capacitor may limit the suitable capacity and influence appropriate type. May limit the suitable capacity and influence appropriate type if switching occurs very fast. Ah, see? And I was doing circuits in Paul Falstad simulator in which the switching would occur very fast, because in a simulator you can make it as fast as you like, even though a mechanical switch can't go that fast. So this is where it all came from. The fact that I was studying transients caused by switching, and I came across these articles on decoupling that involves a capacitor. And that led to a decoupling inductor. So I took this schematic, and instead of using capacitors, I used inductors or resistors, but something other than a capacitor. That was it. And that led to ground. Or no, I think I had an inductor here, and then the capacitor led to ground. That was it. So the inductor was my load, or my circuit, shall we say. And that's the way a transmission line works that Eric Dollard has pointed out to us, a TEM line, a regular old transverse electromagnetic transmission line. The capacitance goes to either the other line, the return line, or to ground, depending on how the thing is wired. You know, if the ground is used as the return wire, then you have capacitance between the suspended transmission line above ground, the ground underneath, and the capacitance between the two. So that's where I got it from. So I simply modeled it off of that. And it grew from there. So this is the beginning. This was the start of where it turned into what it is today. And they didn't like it that I was making changes to their articles on Wikipedia. They removed it, you know. This was a few years ago. I've had my ins and outs with them. You know, I got strong feelings about this stuff, so I don't mind poking my nose where people don't want me to be poking it, because I think, hey, you know, something's got to be done here. I make a little change. I'm lucky enough that, but see, it's high on their list. There's another thing I learned about Wikipedia. It's a question of prioritization. And if something's high on their list, their watch list, they keep tabs. But if it's not high on their list, you can get away with stuff. I've seen articles that are so atrocious, worse than what they complained about mine, and they've been sitting there for years and nobody touches them. Certainly not delete them or complain. Anyway, so it all comes down to work. Get back to the main topic. Recently closed tabs. It's not even there. Oh yes, here it is. It's all about work. Are you willing to do the work? If you're willing to do the work, then you won't have much to complain about. And why would you want to complain? Because you've already figured out what the source of the problem is, so complaining is over. Complaining is really for people who don't work. All right? It's real simple. Complaining and work are like oil and water. They just don't mix unless you add lecithin, some kind of emulsifying agent, to get them to somehow come together. And, yeah, you know, otherwise they, no, anything but that. So, there you have it. Oh, dear, dear, dear. I hope you enjoy this video. I sure did enjoy making it, because that's basically a complaining video. See, now it's my turn to complain. Okay, enough.